Amelie's coming to the West End. Yes, if you haven't heard the amazing news, Amelie the Musical is coming to the West End. It's going to start with social distancing, and then eventually, once everything gets the go-ahead, it will phase out the social distancing and play a hopefully open-ended run. This is fantastic news. We've been seeing a lot of shows that were playing before the pandemonium all announced that they're coming back and putting dates on sale, but we haven't seen many new shows. And it joins the ranks of Jersey Boys, Back to the Future, and technically Pretty Woman, but I mean, that's just changing theatres, to announce a new run after all of this has happened. It's a weird, quirky show, and the staging reflects this amazingly. And when I saw this both on tour and in London at the Other Palace, I was blown away. But if my word so far hasn't convinced you, let me go one step further. This is every single reason, or at least a couple of reasons, why you need to go see Amelie in the West End. At least if you're in the UK and are able to travel and don't have, that thing that is not very good, and also maybe don't travel to if you're from outside the UK yet and see Amelie. But as I said, it should have an open-ended run, so that's great, and people can enjoy it now, and you can come see it next year, or maybe later on in the year. Maybe, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. But if you haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Daniel. I talk about theatre. If you want to see someone talk about theatre, why not listen to me? I make great YouTube videos every single week, and I am also the unofficial hype man of the Amelie West End transfer. And I'm really hoping that this video will show Amelie UK, the entire marketing team behind it, why, they need me. They need to sponsor me. Get me on board. I'll make videos for you. I'll do it. Get me Zoom interviews with the cast. Get me there on gala night. I'll do the green carpet interviews because it's got to be green carpet. I'll give raspberries to the entire audience. I already promised it on Twitter. Just sponsor me. Sponsor me. You know what? Throughout this video as well, I will be dropping the reasons why Amelie UK should give me a sponsorship as well. Before we get onto the reasons why the musical itself is just incredible and you should go see it, let's first take a look at this from a business perspective and say, reason number one, just the absolute risk of this is why you should go see Amelie. I've mentioned a few shows that are new to the West End coming after the Panda Express, Back to the Future, Jersey Boys, but these shows and Amelie have one key difference. Amelie is the only one that's opening during social distancing. It's not pushing itself back if they're still allowed in theatres at that point. They're going to run for as long as they have to with social distancing method. They're going to run as long as they have to with social distancing why can't I speak? They're going to run as long as they have to with social distancing measures in place, with masks enforced, and then when they can reopen theatres and play to full houses, they will sell full houses. I don't have to tell you how risky that move is. I do not have to tell you how risky that is. Throughout this Panda Express, as I've been calling it, there hasn't been many lifelines for theatres. It now seems like we're gradually getting our way out, and the earlier that we can get back into a theatre, safely, of course, the better. And having a brand new musical to open this off is, one, in itself good press, but two, also gives jobs to not only the people on stage, not only the musical directors and set designer and the costume designer and all of that, it also gives jobs to the people backstage, the people doing the marketing for it. All of these new jobs that are so important for theatre, and all of these people who have lives and families. Amelie is taking a risk so that it can help these people out and be a lifeline, and I think that deserves support, even if the show wasn't the greatest thing of all time. But luckily, Amelie is one of the greatest things of all time. I think the second reason why I love Amelie so much is the fact that this show is so vastly different to the Broadway one. If you don't know, Amelie opened on Broadway in 2017 and closed 2 months later. It was a massive Broadway flop. I think they were relying on the Tony Awards and having Philippa Sue as the lead. It didn't really have a life there, and it is a shame. However, when they looked at bringing this over to the West End, they had a whole new director, and they reverted back to a pre-Broadway script that was more faithful to the original film. But I love this version so much because it feels so much more like the film. They completely revised the score, they looked at everything as a whole and tried to improve on it. Theatre is amazing because it isn't a film. It's not one and done. Productions don't tend to last forever. Even something like Les Mis has switched out its staging in the past couple of years, and Phantom's getting a whole new set design and everything like that, or whatever's happening with that whole situation is so confusing. But Amelie managed to reinvent itself, and reinvent itself better, more faithful, more whimsical, and more beautiful than it was before. Now, of course, as we say in this channel, theatre is what? Subjective! So if you like Broadway Amelie more than West End Amelie, that's absolutely fine. But I think watching this show go from completely failing on Broadway to having a tour, starting from the bottom again in the West End, and then moving up to London, and then finally getting a place on the West End, is such an interesting success story, and this show deserves it so much. This show deserves it. Another reason you should go see Amelie is just so you can appreciate the amazing performance by Audrey Besson. I'm sorry, you haven't heard of Audrey Besson? What? Right here. This is Audrey Besson. Edis Daniel, please place a bigger image of Audrey. You know what? Edis Daniel, please make me really tiny and make Audrey Besson really big on the screen, because honestly, I don't deserve to be here next to Audrey Besson. Audrey Besson is an absolutely amazing actress. She is French-Canadian. She's been in loads of productions, which include Pinocchio at the National Theatre, the cult classic musical The Grinning Man. And something I find really interesting about Audrey Besson is that she worked extensively with the Cirque du Soleil as a vocalist and acrobat. We stan a multi-talented queen. But Audrey Besson as Amelie is one of the greatest casting choices I've seen in a while. She is so perfectly Amelie on that stage. She has an energy that really interests you and intrigues you, and as a leading lady, she's amazing. She is this presence that you can't help but watch and be intrigued by, and oh my god, I just love Audrey Besson in this role. Audrey Besson is just so good. Like, the little details she does, and just how she brings Amelie to the stage. I am a stan. However, this isn't a one-woman band, and an amazing change that this musical made, and our fourth reason that you should go see UK Amelie is for the music and the cast. This version of the show is performed by a cast of actor-musicians. Every single actor on this stage plays an instrument at some point in the show. This cast is so talented, and they managed to go from acting to playing the songs for the show superbly. It's so well integrated in, and honestly, one of my favourite trends in modern musical theatre is having your band either on stage or as part of the show. Come From Away, great example. It's not a music actor cast, but their musicians are so integrated into the show, and Amelie is the other great example, because Amelie is just amazing, and everyone should go see Amelie. If you haven't already realised it by now, I think you should go see Amelie. And that's one of the reasons why I should be the hype man for the Amelie musical, and hired and sponsored. Please sponsor me. Please. I also have all the merchandise already. This is a done deal, come on. Reason number 5 that you need to go see Amelie is that it's just beautiful. Everything comes together. Every little detail comes together to make this show that just tells a story in a different way. It's weird, it's quirky, it's interesting, but it's a story about distance, about how we interact, about people, about love and life and joy and dreams, and about how to bridge the gap between us. For the past year, we've been distant. It's felt like we are two sailboats sailing across the ocean, never truly meeting, always staying halfway apart. But Amelie shows us that we can meet, that we can come together, that we have hope and we have a place to go from here. Amelie the Musical is coming at a time where it's looking like we might finally meet again. I'm really excited for Amelie the Musical. If I'm not sponsored by Amelie the Musical, I'm still going to go see it. I'm still probably going to make a video about it. I'd definitely make more videos if I was sponsored by it, the musical, and that would be very cool and very great. But honestly, I just love this show. It means a lot to me. I've followed it for a while now. I was waiting for something out of the Broadway production, and when I saw the UK tour, I finally found what I wanted from Amelie. This is exactly what I wanted this musical to be from the start. And finally, the thing that I've wanted for the past year is here. I was really hoping Amelie would transfer. I was crossing my fingers, waiting for everything. We finally have it. It might take a while. Again, the boat is still sailing. We have a little bit further to go. But if Amelie's taught me anything, they'll meet us there halfway. And then they'll give me a sponsorship, please, Amelie. Please, I have so many video ideas. I could do so much for you, Amelie. Come on, just give me a sponsorship, please.